Thank you so much for being here on a Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., where we're going to help you maximize the value of your listings on AWS Marketplace. We have a lot of exciting tools to share with you today, including recent launches that are as fresh as this week. So lots of exciting tools. But before I do that, let me just introduce myself. I'm Salvador. I head product for the buyer experience on AWS Marketplace, and I'm joined here by my colleagues.
Hi everyone, I'm Matt Baker. I've had the pleasure of leading the worldwide marketing for Marketplace for a little over 7 years. Super excited to talk to you today.
Yeah. And hi everyone, I'm Nora. I'm a product manager in the buyer experience team with AWS Marketplace, building experience to help customers find relevant product and helping sellers like you to reach interested customers.
Excellent. Before we get started, just get to know the audience a little bit. Who is currently selling today on AWS Marketplace? Excellent. Who is not selling yet, but wants to sell? Excellent. And do we have any customer in the room that is buying software today? Okay, one. Excellent. Perfect. So everybody here is going to get benefit from this conversation, because the way we're going to make it happen is really just to help you understand how buyers and sellers create the connections through the Marketplace website, and specifically going through the funnel. Today, we count with millions and millions of visitors coming to AWS Marketplace, which are looking to procure their software, data, and any other solutions they need to run their business efficiently. The key challenge that we have is that a lot of those customers today don't find what they need, and they have to go elsewhere to discover, evaluate, procure that software. Now, today, we have hundreds of thousands of customers who successfully do that. So we have been looking into what those customers do well, and we have created best practices that, together with the tools that we're bringing to you, we can help you capitalize more of that opportunity. The topics we're going to cover today are in four of those. One of them is we're going to give you a brief overview of product-led growth on AWS Marketplace. What does it mean for us, and how can we help you to capitalize on it? Second, we're going to tell you really how can you scale today on AWS Marketplace with it. Third, we're going to cover the Seller Prime program, which we're about to get very excited about it as we kind of like increasingly improve the reach for the program itself. And then we'll close with some key takeaways. Excellent. So let's get started with product-led growth.
All right, let's get into it. So, what is product-led growth? What does it matter for you, and what does it matter for your customers? So the funnel you see here, it illustrates the total opportunity that's available to AWS Marketplace sellers. The section of the funnel in kind of at the bottom in light yellow, you see this is where a lot of ISVs, a lot of marketplace sellers right now are thinking about their strategy, which is traditional seller-led growth and a classical enterprise co-sell motion. Product-led growth, on the other hand, it enables you to expand your potential customer base beyond, and that's through a combination of programs that we'll get into, like Marketplace Seller Prime, and Marketplace feature capabilities. So product-led growth, we help you to acquire new customers through a try-to-buy motion, and then we help you identify the high-value customers who are already paying you in a self-service motion to upsell them into a longer-term contract. Since the customer already has a billing relationship with AWS, they do not have to establish separate billing with you. They can get started right away with us. Plus, with self-service, they're able to draw down on their spend commitments that they have with AWS, and in such, customers recognize greater cost savings. In many ways, product-led growth is about letting your product capabilities speak for themselves. At the core, PLG is a strategy where user acquisition is primarily driven through digital engagement with the product itself, rather than traditional sales and marketing tactics that are expensive and headcount intensive. As a result, by implementing product-led growth, at Marketplace and our sellers, we see them realize shorter sales cycles, a cheaper cost of customer acquisition, and also a better user experience for our customers. So for Marketplace, right, product-led growth is unique, and we think of it in terms of a customer journey. For Marketplace, that starts with discovery. This is where customers are engaging all across the internet, and we want to guide them through a progressive journey. So with discovery, you're identifying a match between what the customer needs and the function that your solution can provide. And then we take the customers into evaluation. This is where customers are vetting different solutions. They want comparisons. They want the actionable and unbiased buyer advice so that they can make the right decision. Then they start to think about pricing. So maybe they know what they want. They've got to understand how to pay for it. Free trials help them to test out the product before they're actually signing, say, a Marketplace private offer, a large deal, right, where they're kind of locked in before understanding a total cost of ownership. And then finally, we move them into procurement. This is where the contracts and licensing agreements are reached. So that's how we think about the funnel on Marketplace for PLG. And then as far as how to scale PLG, get started with your strategy and deliver more value for you. At AWS Marketplace, we are focusing on streamlining each stage of the customer journey that I just walked through. Ultimately, we're focused on helping the customers find and deploy the solution that they need for their business, but we can't do it alone. We do this hand in hand with partners like you and with our customers. When we learn together, we can create the experience that our mutual customers strongly desire, and ultimately we win more business. So we've talked about kind of an introduction to PLG and some of the phases of the journey. Now we're really going to dive deep and go through each one of the phases and learn about different capabilities, programs, et cetera, that are available to you.
So I want to picture here in this stage of the journey, a customer who's looking for a solution. They normally will go to an external search engine, they'll come to Marketplace or any other buyer intelligence website and start the research process. Any idea on how long this research process will take? 1 month? Feel free to raise your hand. 2 months? 3 months? Pretty accurate. The actual process takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months to actually land on the solution that you want to purchase. This is really long. It's both long for the customer because they want to get their hands on that software as soon as possible. And it's too long for you as a seller because you want to accelerate that sales cycle with customers. So how can we help customers accelerate that process? There's 3 big areas that we have been focusing on. Number 1 is how do we help customers discover beyond Marketplace to actually land on the page itself that is going to help them move towards their next best action. Second is optimizing how our search engine works so that customers can easily discover within Marketplace itself. And third is providing inspirational content and recommendations in places such as the homepage where customers land first and help them get jump-started that process. So let's dive into each of them. So search engine optimization is really how do we help external search engines to rank the content from our own pages into that specific external search engine. So today, this is the largest source of traffic into AWS Marketplace. And as such, we really care about how customers are going to perceive those pages that we are going to source there. Majority of the clicks, actually I think it's around 95% of them, are actually originated from the first page on the search results itself. And what is very interesting, and this is a message I want you to take away from here, is that customers will land, in majority of the cases, directly on your product detail page. What does that mean? It means that your product detail page is the first and the last thing that hopefully they're going to see before subscribing. As such, we need to equip your listings on Marketplace with a toolkit that allows customers to be able to make that decision in a seamless way. Now, we've been doing some foundational work on our side to make sure that we can optimize the sitemap, make sure that we represent the listings properly. Second, we have been doing investments on how our website optimizes for that content generation in accordance with the web vitals that external search engines will share with us. And third, making sure we have fresh content that we can publish and that it stays fresh in the customer's search process. But beyond what we're doing, we need your help. We need your help in ensuring that we have what are the target keywords that customers are going to be leveraging to search for your product. We need to make sure that once we have those keywords, your listing is optimized with those keywords throughout. And third, ensuring we have support material with backlinks and other types of content on your pages so that the breadth of the content that those search engines are going to index is larger. Now, once the customer has landed into AWS Marketplace, they will start most likely through AWS homepage, Marketplace homepage. Today, more than 1 million visitors enter through that channel. And what they're looking is to get inspired and to start the journey on what they should be looking at. Now, we developed a specific homepage for this, and earlier this year, we built an experience where you can actually see what are the most subscribed products by product type on Marketplace. And this helps customers jumpstart that discovery. We saw 10 points in the conversion rate improvement directly from the homepage, which kind of like really told us that customers value this as an experience. At the same time, we're partnering with a lot of sellers to build use cases and examples that can help customers get inspired. If a customer X is doing a specific use case, that might be relevant to me, and as such, it's a great way to jumpstart the discovery part of the journey. Now, once a customer has get inspired from it, they will come to AWS Marketplace search experience to look for your products. Today, majority of the clicks come from the first 5 search results. So it is critical that your product is optimized to appear within the search experience there. How do you do that? Today, our search experience looks into 6 parameters of your listing: the product title, the vendor name, the keywords, the highlights, and the short and long description as a way to index that content. Now, how do we can optimize that? Number 1, know your customer. Understand what are the keywords and the type of query experiences that they're going to be using to look for your product. Number 2, keep it short. Ensure that your description is to the point and specific enough so that the actual search result can be matched to the specific customer use case that they're looking for. We don't have a problem with repeating keywords through the listing. In fact, this is going to help the redundancy of how our internal search engine is going to rank your content. And last but not least, and very important, make sure you leverage key features from Marketplace, like free trials, vendor insights, a standard contract. All of those features are going to provide you dedicated badging and search filters so customers can actually search, for example, what products do we offer a free trial, and have their search narrowed down into that specific capability. So we'll cover that in a second. Now, the customer now has a good idea of what products are there. They have gotten the inspiration, and they kind of like have a subset of products that they want to engage with. We move forward into the phase of evaluation. This is where the customer is going to get the information they need to move forward into a procurement decision.
Thank you, Sava. So now, after spending time discovering, researching options, in the evaluation stage, most customers now have identified a set of products they're interested in, and they're looking for additional details to assess what is the best option for their specific use case. Customers have told us that during evaluation specifically, they spend a lot of time on manual tasks, such as going through different websites to collect pieces of product information, or just reaching out to sellers to understand or negotiate pricing. And over the past few years, they have been asking for more marketplace support to make evaluation easier. So here, I would like to share that how we are tackling those customer needs that we've been hearing and how you can play a part. On a very high level, the 4 main areas we're focusing on to make evaluation easier and quicker are, first, optimizing that product detail page experience. As Sava said, over 50% of the time, this is the first and last page customers see before they continue to purchase. And second, we are now focusing on building features to help customers reach out and get additional support from sellers like you, starting with our request a demo and private offer request feature that we launched this year. Third, there are so much things to learn about each product, and customers often told us they're overwhelmed by the amount of information they need to analyze and process in the process. And we are now reimagining how we're delivering the product content and the insight to customers, starting with our new AI-powered product summary and comparison experience recently launched. Last but not least, customers value those unbiased perspectives and opinions. So to help with that, we are ingesting content from our third-party buyer intelligence platforms to help provide that reassurance customers need to make that leap from just evaluation to purchasing. Let's dive deep into each of them. Starting with product detail pages. These pages are particularly important for two reasons. Not only are this the page that the majority of customers land on as they come to Marketplace, but these are the pages that customers spend the most time to learn about your product and evaluate fit. And because of that, this presents a prime opportunity for you to showcase that what your product does and what it offers to your prospective customers. In October this year, we are very excited to have completely overhauled the product detail page experience, bringing, as you can see on the right, modernized design, enhanced layout, more call to actions, and richer and more relevant content to help customers make that informed buying decision. And based on our observations, I have 3 recommendations for you to optimize your listing page so that you can grab that customer attention and then drive more effective conversion. The first one is upload promotional video. Wherever we have video overviews on the page, over 20% of customers engage with them, as this acts as a good introduction and allow customers to understand what your product offers on a very high level. So consider upload a video or 2 to complement your product overview section. Make them bite-sized, high quality. Try to keep each video under 1 minute, and then tailor the messaging and content towards those newcomers who try to understand your product and what it offers. Second one is to make sure to optimize the product descriptions and highlight section, as those show up on the very top of your product detail pages are naturally the first things that customers see after they land. So make a great first impression by include informative and educational content in those sections. Highlight those features that your product are great at, and specifically, make sure to include some specific use cases your product can solve for. As more than 60% of customers told us, beyond learning about the product, they want to know when they should use your product, why they should use it, what can it tackle. So make sure to include some of those as you prepare and optimize for your product descriptions. Last but not least, customers value opinions from their peers. And in fact, we have seen that the customers who engage with the review section on product pages are 3 times more likely to continue to purchase compared to those who do not. So ask for some feedback from your current customers and bring and share that voice of customers to complement your product page experience. Next, I would like to talk and share more about the demo and private offer requests feature. This is the set of feature that we have launched this year to provide you with a new channel to source those high intent customers. So millions of customers or visitors come to AWS Marketplace every year. Though a lot of them may not be fully ready to transact, a large number of them are interested enough to stay in touch and keep on learning more from you. Over the past year, we have been exploring different ways to capitalize on the customer actions that show high customer interest so that we can help forge that connection between high intent buyers and sellers. We actually started this as a pilot last year with just a handful of sellers. And after observing that leads sourced from this experience are more than 3 times higher quality compared to general marketing campaigns, we have now made this generally available starting this April. Let's see how it works. Previously, to get scheduled for a demo or get custom pricing from sellers could take weeks, if not months, for a customer. Now that they can initiate those requests directly from the top of the product detail pages by clicking into the new call to actions that we have introduced, request demo or request a private offer. After clicking those, customers will be prompted to fill out their contact information and more details about their request by filling out this form. After that, we as AWS will be curating those income requests and sharing and publish the legit customer leads with you through ACE, which is the AWS Customer Engagement Portal. So you can have all the information you need to reach out and contact these customers and close those deals. So recommendation for you here. If you have not already, consider onboard and enable request a demo and private offer on your listing pages. And if you have onboarded, make sure to continue monitor opportunities from AWS and reach out to the leads we share with you within 2 working days. Next, fresh off the press, A new feature that we have just launched this week is the AI-powered product summary and comparison. Customers have told us that during the up to 6 months evaluation experience, in fact, half of their time are just spending on collecting and analyzing information from all the different sources. And they're overwhelmed by the amount of information they need to analyze, compare, collect. And now we are reimagining this experience so that we can expedite the customer decisions and in turn shorten the sales cycle for you. Now, this new comparison feature powered by Amazon Bedrock will make it easy for customers to identify similar products. Customer can select from a list of recommended similar products to form their consideration set. After that, the comparison engine will be leveraging generative AI to summarize and aggregate product information and customer reviews, highlight unique aspects of the product, and provide deep insight into key decision factors such as cost effectiveness, product feature, customer support. This experience is now live on product detail pages for popular SaaS products, and shortly we'll be making it available search page and AWS Marketplace homepage, so there are more ways for customers to find your product. Let's take a closer look on how this works. Starting from the top, customers have been consistently asking for us for more insight into what others are buying, what is trending on AWS. And now, as part of the new comparison experience, we have introduced a new accolade session on the very top to showcase badges like top 25 in machine learning based on the AWS Marketplace transaction volume in the prior calendar months to provide this highly requested insight for the very first time. And I would like to highlight the next session, which is our review insight. Over 90% of software buyers will read a review before they continue to purchase. But finding those pieces of relevant information from hundreds of reviews is a time-consuming process. And we have now just simplified that. From the comparison experience, customer can see summarized review sentiment across key evaluation criteria. They will also have the ability, by clicking into the positive or negative links, to dive into details into the dimensions they're interested about. They can see more details about how others are valuing those dimensions, and then reselect reviews on what others are talking about on that particular dimension. And next, we have a section that summarizes features your product have based on all the information that you have shared with us to provide this bite-sized, consumable, high-level understanding to customers at the first glance. And at the very bottom, we have show security credentials such as SOC 2 for vendors who participate in our Vendor Insight program, as well as displays whether a product supports AWS Marketplace standard contract. These two are key features that remove friction in the procurement process so that customers can buy faster and start build faster. We will dive into details about how these two features work in a little bit later. So recommendation for you here is to make sure to keep your listing information up to date. Consider checking out our Vendor Insight program so you can have a great representation in our comparison experience. Last but not least, on the evaluation process, we recognize that providing great content to facilitate evaluation cannot rely on you or us alone. So we are working with our third-party buying intelligence platforms, namely G2 and PureSpot, to ingest additional content like reviews, like buyer guides, and many others in the future to provide customers more perspectives and unbiased opinions to help them get some reassurance and social proof and leap from evaluation to purchase. This is a critical component in the evaluation journey, and we're factoring in this content in the comparison experience we just talked about as well. As such, keep your profile up to date across these platforms to ensure you have a great representation on AWS Marketplace. Now, after getting all the information to help inform what to buy, I will pass to Sava to talk about the next stage.
Excellent. Thank you, Nora. So customers have now get to know about your product. They have gotten through the journey of really making sure that your product is exactly what they need. Now is the time to make sure that pricing also falls within the customer expectations. Now, we do have some tips and some recommendations on what, as a seller, you can leverage to offer customers pricing options that are adequate to their needs. So based on the learnings that we have captured over the last few years, we have developed a concept of what we think a good pricing strategy could look like that you can use as a reference point. Customers have told us how important it is to make sure that they can get to test the product with as low friction as possible. Once they get to try the product, they have told us they want to make sure that they gradually get the relationship built within your product through a consumption-based price wherever it makes sense. It might not make sense to all type of products. And once the customer is strongly reassured that that's exactly the product that they need long-term to build their business, then it's when we recommend to engage in a longer contract duration. This is just one of the avenues that we see. There's multiple caveats on how this pricing strategy can be adapted depending on the product, the customer segment. But if we truly are looking at conversion rate as an optimization point, this will be the path that we will recommend to any seller or marketplace. Now, let's dive into why. Based on research, 94% of customers have told us that free trials are very important. The key data point is that 25% of customers told us that they will not buy your product if you don't offer a free trial. Let me repeat that point. 25% of customers have told us they will not buy your product if you don't offer a free trial. Especially in a world where demographics are changing rapidly, we're seeing the cohort of millennial buyers, people born after 1981, being right now the majority of the IT decision makers. So in a world where specifically this demographic wants to minimize interaction with sales teams and be able to purchase end-to-end on a self-service way, it is critical that we offer a way they can try the product in a frictionless way. Now, from a free trial perspective, you can offer the free trial both on a consumption-based type of product with pay-as-you-go, or you can offer that free trial on a contract. You can actually do both, and we do encourage you to do both. However, what we have seen is that when the free trial is applied on a consumption-based pricing product, there's 3 times more conversion rate on that specific evolution from a free trial to a pay-as-you-go than from a free trial into a contract. Now, if you have to make a choice, that's really where we recommend you to focus so that you can increase that conversion rate. Now, this is also very important because it will accelerate that sales cycle that we're talking about. Now, another area where we're excited to talk about is offering financing to your customers. Today, financing can help us close deals faster. They will increase the deal size because customers will be able to commit to a larger amount of money on that specific transacted value, and you will receive a payment up front from the customer. To speak to your customers about what financing opportunities they are looking for, and you can offer this multi-year spend commitment through Marketplace. As you will be able to see on your product detail pages, we're partnering with financial institution to offer this type of financing. So make sure that you leverage that as well as a seller. Now that the customer has decided that your product is fit for their needs, pricing is within range of what they can afford or they're looking for, they have been able to try it in a way that's being reassured. Now comes to the time on actually procuring your product, right? How is this process looking like today? Well, at a large level, there's mainly 2 ways, as you're probably aware of, 2 different ways of how we can enable that procurement on Marketplace. End-to-end self-service through AWS Marketplace website, or a private offer type of procurement experience. We do want to support both. First, by building that end-to-end best-in-class experience on Marketplace website, but at the same time making sure that we equip sellers like you to be able to scale within Marketplace. How can we do that? Well, today, there's 3 main steps if you think about it, from a security review, a legal review, and then making sure that that product is being fulfilled after procurement. Now, on the security review, we launched vendor insights a few years ago about how can this help you as a customer being reassured that that product will have the security needs you need. Second, I think it was 2019, we launched standard contract for Marketplace as a template where you as a seller and a buyer can collaborate as a common ground to build specific add-ons on that specific legal review. And third, last re:Invent, we launched Quick Launch to configure your software after procurement. So let's dive into that. First, vendor insights. So vendor risk assessments today can delay the procurement cycle from 8 to 10 weeks today. What customers are telling us is that they need to have a way to be reassured that what they're buying is actually in compliance with the security criteria. So today, we're providing a dashboard with more than 125 key security and compliance controls that you can source from 3 different points. Number one, as a seller, you can self-attest answers from the vendors and publish it for the customer. Number two, you can upload your different certificate and audit reports. For example, if I'm a public sector customer, I can easily access if you have a FedRAMP certification, which might be very important for me to procure. And third, providing automated evidence from different AWS interactions that you had with AWS Config, Audit Manager, to kind of prove that indeed they can rely on your product from a security perspective. This is really working well for customers, and as Nora was saying before, that's why we put it as part of the comparison experience, so customers can easily see that. On top of that, we provide specific badging in product detail pages and search filters, so customers can actually see which products offer it, and they can easily narrow down their selection as they're evaluating the product itself. So if possible, my recommendation will be that you look into ways to offer this type of visibility for your products within Marketplace. The second step in this procurement process itself is the legal review. So standard contract, as I was mentioning, was introduced in 2019, where we got a group together between buyers and sellers and their legal teams. And what really, in essence, we did is we created a common template that could really serve as a springboard for any buyer or seller to start the negotiation. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time a new deal is getting transacted. Today, over 80% of sellers offer standard contract on Marketplace, yet only 23% of customers are using it today. This is mainly because of discovery and them not being aware of this. So we need your partnership to make sure that you tell customers this is an option. We are looking into ways to enhance this discovery experience. As you can see also on the comparison experience in the product detail page, customers can easily see what products offer a standard contract versus not. And at the same time, within search, you have search filters to narrow down also what products will offer that. Now, customers has gone through the security profile, has gone through the legal assessment, and they have procured your software. It is critical that we enable an easy integration to make sure that you can fulfill your SaaS purchase and configure that software right away. A large chunk of software today doesn't get configured after procurement, and it's a missed opportunity both on the buyer and the seller side. So what we have done is we created first and published an AWS CloudFormation template that can serve as an easy way to onboard into that configuration. Second, we supported through an API integration the configuration of that software from Marketplace. And third, we enable all of that experience through Quick Launch on AWS Marketplace. So if you haven't explored this as a SaaS seller today, we strongly recommend that you look into offering this. Now, we have covered the 4 different ways or the 4 different steps on the buyer journey today. A lot of you are already mastering this, but how can we take this to the next level? I'm very excited to introduce the topic of AWS Marketplace Seller Prime so that we can learn how can you take it to the next level with us.
Thanks. So Marketplace Seller Prime. So we talked about the stages of the buyer journey, the way we think about PLG at Marketplace, and some of the things that we could do together. Let's talk about the program that we've built to aid you in your PLG journey from crafting the strategy all the way through growing. We call the program Marketplace Seller Prime. So let's look at it. It's all about partnering together to tune in your product to marketplace fit with PLG best practices, enablement, and funding from AWS. For sellers who are new to the program, we're expecting them to drive around 300 new self-service subscriptions as a goal on AWS Marketplace in year 1. So that's a run rate of about 25 new subscriptions each month. To reach the goal, there are things that we expect sellers to drive, and then there's things that AWS and AWS Marketplace does to enable you in that journey. First, sellers must have consumption and pay-as-you-go based pricing product with a free trial listed on Marketplace, and we kind of talked about how to do some of that earlier in the journey stages, and there's a ton of enablement available to you as well through Prime. To reach the monthly subscriptions, I talked about what we kind of look at as a goal in goal one. We need you to deliver kind of on two key KPIs. The first is around awareness. So this is all around designing the right integrated marketing strategy and campaigns to drive traffic to your listings. We look at having you through those efforts, which by the way, we help you with funding, drive about 300 monthly unique visitors to your listing. The second one's around discovery. So for discovery, we find a best practice to have 2 points of presence that are highly visible across your site. So when customers are browsing, they see Marketplace as an option, and they're able to jump over to the Marketplace listing, take advantage, and get going. So from that, we look at a success metric for a year one goal is driving about 150 unique visitors to your listing page. Now, what does AWS do? So for enrollment into the program, we help in a number of different ways, and we're really looking to partner with you to tune in your PLG strategy. So the first is funding, right? Sometimes you're starting from scratch, right? Maybe you got your pay-as-you-go listing and your free trial listed, but what do you do next? Money helps, right? So we offer marketing development funds up to $40,000 on an annual basis based upon your commitment to AWS and your progression through the program. We also offer go-to-market templates and enablement materials that you can grab and go. And these are all about how should I best design a self-service campaign? What should the experience look like on my digital touchpoints, et cetera? And there's a ton of applied learning and best practice and things that you can really kind of, in a templated way, fill out and take advantage of. Then there's support for who are the right AWS customers, right? What customers are out there, maybe the ones you're not even thinking of, and how can you best target them in such a way where it's non-interruptive to them? And you're finding the right customers who are going to best like your products, right? So tons of information we provide around that. And then one which our partners have been asking for years, and I was super excited that we started to offer again through the Seller Prime program this year, is analytics, right? How you want to understand, okay, I'm going to drive, what did he tell me, 450 unique visitors a month from my site over to my listing. If I don't know what happens to that traffic, then why am I doing this, right? So analytics are available through Partner Analytics and Partner Central, where you can see how many unique visitors are coming to my page, what happens to those, what are the referral sources that drove that traffic? Did the traffic and conversion come from AWS campaigns, or did it come from the traffic I'm driving? And then further, how do I optimize that, right? So it's been a huge request for years. We're super excited to offer it. So this is kind of lay of the land on Marketplace Seller Prime. It's something that we had launched in pilot, kind of very high touch, high attention, and now we've been scaling out throughout the course of this year. Let's look at a success story, right? This is just one partner's journey that I want to kind of show you. So they had launched a pay-as-you-go listing on Marketplace with a free trial. This was late 2021. $0 ARR with AWS Marketplace, and they enrolled in Prime 2022, right? Consider them kind of a design partner as we design this program, and as an example of the listing. In the 9 quarters since, they've had over 9,000 self-service subscriptions, of which over 250 through co-sell and kind of upsell mechanisms were converted into longer-term contracts, Marketplace private offers. So starting from 0 in 2021, they now have a 20 million plus annual run rate that's growing fast, all on AWS Marketplace and powered through Prime. So that's Prime. We've covered a lot today, right? And I'm super excited to have you all here for this discussion. We talked about what is product-led growth? Why is it important? Why should you care? Why do your customers care? We talked about all the stages of the journey, right? From the discovery to the evaluation to the pricing, and then finally to procurement. We talked through the specific content that engages customers on your listing, some of the best practices that help customers really understand what do you offer, how does it apply to them, what is the evidence that I'm going to be successful with this? Things like rich media and the videos, the reviews, all the content that we walk through. As far as pricing, we talked about what are the options available and hopefully help to create in your mind the seed of a strategy that makes use of free trials, usage-based pricing, and contract options that target the customer base and really help them understand what is this going to cost and what's my total cost of ownership over time. And then finally, procurement, right? So by catering to your customers through things like standard contract, which Salva walked through, vendor insights, and standard SLAs. Finally, we talked about resources, enablement, funding, et cetera, available through Marketplace Seller Prime. That's really here to help you jumpstart your PLG journey, which we're super excited to do hand in hand with you, and maybe some of you we're already doing. So thank you so much. We know it's 5:30 p.m. We know it's Wednesday. We know you have dinner plans, cocktail hour, etc. Thanks for spending the time with us. I believe that this is really going to be a seed of something we can grow. There are more resources available to you through the QR code up there, so recommend you take that as a next step. Very excited to meet some of you. And then if we can, our last ask on time, before you go, if you could take 2 minutes to just fill out the session survey in your app, we would really, really appreciate it. So that's all from us. Thank you all.